Hi, my name is Paul Godwin, and I've got the unique and quite pleasurable opportunity to discuss a great deal today with both the retiring Managing Director of VEKA, Dave Jones, and the new incumbent who starts from 2021, who's Neil Evans. And we are allowed out actually for the first time for many, many months. As I've just remarked, actually it's the first time we worn a suit actually and grown up clothes for about 8 months now, so it's quite refreshing. I have the one suit that actually still fits me. We are in a COVID safe environment. I'm delighted that we've managed to take our masks off. We no longer look like we're holding up a stagecoach. But we are all temperatures checked. We are apparently healthy, which is the only clear health check I've had for many, many years now. And we've all thoroughly washed our hands, and I've watched them do it. So we'll get on with this. The idea of today, and this is a unique opportunity, to get the two bosses, the big bosses of one of Britain's most respected Windows systems companies, VEKA. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Although in fact I'm obviously on your patch, as it were, in Burnley. I'm astonished that Burnley is raining, sadly. I thought the sun might be out for me. But welcome. Let's carry on.
Thank you, Paul.
I feel especially privileged because actually around 12 years ago, Dave Jones, you became the Managing Director, and I had the opportunity, the task, if you like, it wasn't too onerous, to actually promote you to the industry, introduce you to the industry. And we had some fun doing that, I think. And actually in about 10 years' time, Neil, on the basis of you tend to have a 14-year career cycle at just, I think, the two companies that you've been at already.
Yep.
So with a 14-year cycle of VEKA, that would put you up to the age of about 60, I think, and maybe your retirement.
I haven't even got I'm not in the job yet, but thank you, yes.
That's all right. Well, it'll be retirement either way, even if you make a hash of it. Hopefully you'll hang on to the job, but I think you'll be fine with that. You're no longer Neil, you're no longer the new kid on the block at VEKA, because you've been there 4 years already in the role of, I think, sales director.
Yep.
But tell us about your previous roles, because there's a bit of a V thing going on there. I think you're at Velux and now VEKA. Is that kind of a corporate pillow talk so you don't mess the names up, or tell us about your...
Yeah, very much into block capitals in the names of companies. I write in block capitals, so it suits me to work for a company that's how they choose to write as well. But it's one of the coincidences, I think, of my career. I moved to Velux, having previously been in the insurance industry, because that was the place to go. That's where you get a safe job and you're there for life. And then, circumstances changed and the opportunity came to move into a different sector, into Velux, doing very much operational work, and then somehow randomly ended up as the sales director without having worked in sales, which was good.
Well, we hope you learned a great deal at Velux in the sales function before you moved on. I'm sure that happened, but you've got the broader function now, of course, of Managing Director. Why did you go for that role? I mean, as you're the incumbent sales director in this fine company, but you decided to apply for the job as Managing Director to follow on from Dave. Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, when I decided to leave Velux, at that point, I knew I wanted to be a Managing Director of a business, and when I met Dave, particularly when I got to get a sense of what VEKA was about, I just saw that there could be that opportunity. Obviously, I wasn't wishing Dave to move on too quickly. He could just have been 35 years of age for all I knew, but there was that possibility, hopefully, to move into it. And in terms of why that kind of role, I think if I look back on the things I'd done, I had lots of different experiences. So whilst the recent time is in sales, there'd been a lot of time in credit control, logistics, customer services, etc. So for me, it was about pulling all of that together and trying to have a wider influence than the current role would allow.
And Dave, you obviously interviewed Neil for the role of sales director 4 years ago, but apparently you weren't too keen to actually meet the man because of his CV and his experience at Velux. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah,
Confessional.
It was an interesting debate about Neil because of the domination of Velux in the marketplace. I think I kind of sat there and questioned whether there'd be enough hunger and drive and determination to come to VEKA from that position of total dominance or market dominance. And I'm pleased with my decision to change it and bring Neil in, and gave him a grueling and quite a severe interview, which allowed me to get inside his thoughts and his values and the way that he operates, that he was determined and he wanted to join a business that wanted to be forward thinking and be driven. And we have very, very similar values and very, very similar ethoses. So from that point of view, it was a great decision.
It would appear to have turned out quite well so far. It's quite interesting. Velux is windows, but actually quite a different sector to VEKA. I wonder what went through your mind when you were considering the job coming to VEKA. I mean, did you have any hangover about double glazing, or was that not an issue? What attracted you to actually apply for the job?
Well, I think the difference with Velux is we didn't call it double glazing, even though that's what it was. We called it daylight and fresh air, which puts a nice angle on it. But fundamentally, it's the same thing.
Selling it,
You're still selling it, yeah. It's still about trying to make a difference to a household, a property, possibly a lifestyle, and there were no concerns for me around that. I think the bit that was interesting was the relative complexity of this supply chain compared to the one I was used to, because the one I was used to was typically almost entirely owned by the business I worked for, all the way through to finished product, very clear distribution model, and of course significant marketing to the homeowner to kind of pull that demand in. So this was very, very different, going to be more complex, and of course probably some surprises along the way, where you think, oh right, okay, this is what we do. We don't do this part, others do that. So no, there were no concerns about that side of it. For me, it was all about the challenge. I'm the kind of guy that, I try and drive positive change, and I think a lot of times you get that opportunity early on, and that change can be quite big. And I think over time, possibly if you don't move through into other roles or stretched further, that kind of diminishes a little bit, and that's just not me. I think this idea of only making a little bit of difference is not how I want to kind of go through my working life. So the move to VEKA was the initial part of that stretch, whilst the role was largely very, very similar. It was in a very different environment, different context, different market position, and ultimately with the role I've got now, it really plays to that opportunity for me to be stretched, and hopefully look to make a wider difference across our business, for our customers, and for the people who work in our business.
You found a similar vibe in the family ownership of both companies.
Yeah, really important to me. When I worked with the headhunter who tried to convince Dave to see me. I'd worked with them a couple of years prior to that, and things didn't go any further. But they did say to me, if you were looking for a business to work with, tell me a bit about them. And top of my list was family ownership. And that was because when I'd worked for Aviva previously, it was a listed business. It had gone through an awful lot of changes, acquisitions, and I would argue some decisions that were being made that were not ultimately in the longer term interests of customers and their experience, and ultimately probably shareholders. And I found that quite difficult. When I had customer experience which was really poor, I was getting directives to make decisions which were not going to help improve that. And moving into a family business, into Velux, it was very, very different culturally. Different kinds of pressures, of course, but not the pressures that perhaps a listed company with the degree of how shareholding influences that would have. And then to find VEKA looking very similar from that perspective, that rich history of the family ownership, the very clear intent for that to continue, and some of the freedoms. I mean, Dave talked to me an awful lot about great support from the parent company, but this idea of locally been encouraged to be entrepreneurial and to drive the UK business, and that's very, very appealing.
The family ethos extends further than the company in terms of the local community, and I believe that VEKA does get itself quite heavily involved in the local community, which I think you found attractive as well. But give me an example of the sort of thing that you've become involved with, you and obviously the team, the VEKA people have got involved with.
Yeah, I mean, just to go to that point of, I'd worked for, as you say, only 2 businesses. I stay 14 years and then I move on. But I'd never worked in a business where its part in community seemed to matter, where it was located seemed to matter. And again, simple things like the first time I met Dave, I got that sense of VEKA's place in Burnley and the influence it wanted to have in Burnley and how it felt about Burnley and the opportunities for the area. And I think you can meet someone and hear that and go, okay, I'll take that at face value. But then when I came into the business, it was very, very much an active part of the agenda that we had. So, all the directors are doing something different within the local community. My particular part is with Burnley FC in the community, where, I'm looking to support them in terms of the different opportunities to work with different parts of society, particularly around employability. And I've had some great times getting involved in that. It's pretty rewarding.
Including sleeping rough at the football ground, I believe.
Yes, yeah, there was a little bit of sleeping rough at the football ground, yeah. It wasn't the driest night of my life, but again, very, very worthy cause, and something that I was proud to be a part of. And I say I've never experienced that, a business that feels really proud and responsible for being part of it. Yeah, exactly. It's saved on the hotel bill.
Wonderful experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Dave, you joined in 1994, the business in 1994, which was, I want to know how it was working with company horses, quill pens and under candlelight.
Yeah, well, quite clearly there was no electric in those days, Paul, and the extruders were hand-turned, as you say. But yeah, back in '94 it was a completely different business to what it is today. I mean, we had more than one business because we had the VEKA trim business as well. But it was going through and needed to go through some transitional change. And we've come through that with the acquisition of Halo back in 2011, which was really the biggest step forward that we did as a business to take on the other brand, of Halo brand as well as VEKA, and then integrate the businesses together to make the one business very, very successful, and it continues to do so. And our family, the VEKA family and the Lauman family and the Hartlives are extremely pleased with what we've achieved, but that's just a moment in time. So now we're looking for the next opportunities that exist out there in terms of what we want to do as a business. But VEKA's very much in a let's consolidate the market mode at the moment and looking for acquisitions, mergers, wherever we can get the synergies from. So it's quite exciting moving forward, certainly for Neil, into the future.